Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined once again for DiBella's Digest by the man himself, Lou DiBella. And Lou, first of all, how has your week been?
I can't complain, Dan. And it's a holiday weekend here in the States, though it feels more like St. Patrick's Day than it does the beginning of summer with respect to the weather, because it's in the 50s and it's been wet all weekend. But I'm not going to complain, and I've sort of been relaxing and enjoying myself, catching up on some books, catching up on got up to date on the Blacklist, so catching up on my TV series. I'm okay.
Well, I'm glad the priorities have been ticked off. It's good to know. I wanted to talk to you this week about a big fight coming up at the weekend, although I don't know if we can call it a fight. It's an exhibition, officially, between Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul. Now, I know you've not been shy about your affection for Jake Paul and how he promotes himself, which I think a lot of people would agree with. What do you make of his brother and this whole exhibition contest on a Sunday evening in Florida?
Well, his brother's got an 0-1 record as a pro boxer,
Yeah.
having lost to, what's the guy's name? Because I have a mental block on this. Yeah, I don't know who KSI, what he's ever done. So I guess maybe it's not the worst thing that I can't remember his name. If you lost to KSI, you shouldn't even be having an exhibition with Floyd Mayweather. But that being said, I mean, Floyd's the superstar. Floyd transcends boxing. He's one of the few, ex-boxers or present boxers that do transcend the sport. And for whatever reason, this Logan Paul's got a huge following himself, and is, he manages to garner more than his fair share of attention. If people want to buy that, that's cool. But it doesn't have the same intrigue to me of a Jake Paul fight. And I sort of think it's ridiculous. The guy 0-1 as a fighter shouldn't be having an exhibition with one of the greatest fighters who ever lived. So it's, I mean, will I be buying it? I may. It depends what I have going on that night. Well, but I'm diseased. I buy, I watch almost anything boxing related. But I don't know. I'm not. I think that look, Floyd's become a brilliant businessman, and he's been a really good businessman for a long time, and he keeps finding ways of replenishing his bank account, and I'm guessing he's going to make quite a bit of money on this, and it's certainly a no-lose proposition. He'll have some fun, and he'll do whatever he wants in there against Logan Paul. I mean, it's sort of absurd. It's like fighting me. I mean, kind of thing. I mean, look, I'm not purist about any of this shit. You know my theory on all that. I'm not into purism in boxing, and I'm also, if people can be entertained any way they want, and if people are willing to go into their pocket and spend money for things that entertain them, I can choose not to watch those things. But I'm not going to jump up and down or complain about an event. If I don't want to watch it, I won't watch it. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But if other people do, God bless them.
Floyd Mayweather made some comments to Showtime, which I saw a couple of hours ago, comparing his fight with Logan Paul to a legalized bank robbery. He said he wants to work smarter, not harder. So I guess you have to admire his honesty.
Okay, well, I do admire his honesty. And look, it's one of the reasons that we go back a long time, Floyd, since he's a little kid, literally, like since he was just turned pro. And we've always had a very honest and open kind of role. And I respect him basically in a lot of ways because he doesn't mince words. And it is like, why shouldn't he grab the money? If he can make money having an exhibition with Logan Paul, not taking it would be dumb, and doing what he's doing is simply smart. And I'm actually humored, and I think it's cool that he made those comments to Showtime.
What do you make of the comparison? It's one a lot of people have made on social media this week between him and Manny Pacquiao, and particularly the way their careers have diverged since they fought.
I mean, I'm going to take an unpopular opinion here. It wasn't a great fight in the ring when Mayweather fought Pacquiao, but I'm not sure it ever would have been. And I'm not sure there ever would have been a different result, ever. In fact, I think that Mayweather, when you're the boxer, you're the scientist, you're more of the artist in the ring, and the other guy's more of the fighter. And by the way, Manny's, look, you're talking about two of the all-time greats, right? But Floyd always had the edge on defense, the edge on movement, the edge on angles, the edge on speed. Not the edge on power, but pretty much the edge every place else. So, I mean, Manny proved he can hang. Look, Manny's a freak of nature. The ability to stay at the highest level from weight classes from 118, was he started 118 or 115? I don't even remember.
But it was in that 15. I think the first title was 118. I'd have to double check.
The first title was 118, and then he was winning titles up to 154. And he's still fighting, and he's almost 40 years old, and he's been fighting his whole life. I mean, he's a different. I keep saying this,
I think. He's 41, 42 now.
I'm sorry, he's 42. What am I saying? He's late 30s. You're right. He's 42. He's a freak of nature. He's Manny's his own thing, you know. But it doesn't detract from Floyd's greatness or the fact that I think Floyd not only beat him, but always would have had an edge in the ring against Manny Pacquiao. And I'm not part of that group that's willing to put Manny ahead of Floyd on a pound for pound list. I'm not. I might put them right next to each other, wherever you put them on that list. But Floyd beat him, and I think Floyd always would have beaten him. And again, whatever you think of Floyd Mayweather, you know, if you deny his greatness, you don't understand the sport you're watching.
Pacquiao, does he have the commercial value, particularly in the Philippines, to go down the route that Mayweather has and just do exhibitions, make easy money?
I think he's enough of an international superstar. He'll always be able to make easy money. Not only that, you got to remember, he's a senator, and he's going to wind up probably having a political career that extends beyond, way beyond boxing. And stranger things have happened than Manny Pacquiao eventually becoming president of the Philippines. So, you know, I don't know what Manny has ahead of him, but Manny's going to have a lot of choices. And can Manny do some of the stuff Mayweather does? Yeah. I mean, Floyd's flown to you know, the Arab world to have lunch with a sheikh and get paid $1 million for having lunch with somebody. You know, can Manny do the same thing? Probably in a lot of places. You know, I don't think we're going to have to worry about Manny's life after boxing. But I think that it's no surprise that both of them are still stars. I mean, they're two of the greats, and certainly in the last. I mean, when you look at the last couple of generations of boxing, you know, these are two of the very best.
So, what is it that kind of makes Floyd go down the route he has? That's obvious, you know, easy money for light work. Why doesn't Manny do it? Is he just a completely different breed and he's addicted to the top level competition?
I think so. I think I think so. I think he likes to rumble. I mean, you know, like, look, certain fighters like get in there. I remember used to watch Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti fights before they fought each other, but when I fell in love with both of them, and they'd be in this blood and guts war, and there'd be this look on their face of total enthrallment, like of loving where they were and what they were doing and believing that that was who they were. You know, Floyd always was more the guy that I want to hit you without being hit. I'm not about taking damage. I'm about beating you. I think Manny's more one of those guys that would taste his own blood and smile, you know, taste his own blood and say, yeah, this is what I do. You know, I mean, I just think they're different guys. Bernard Hopkins never particularly liked to be in a brawl or to be hit. Doesn't mean he was any less great, just means he had one of the reasons why both Floyd and Bernard were able to maintain their, you know, supremacy to the very end of their careers, you know, for the most part. You know, they didn't take a lot of damage over time. It's another thing that makes Manny so remarkable. If do you remember when Manny was basically out cold when Marquez knocked him cold? Out cold. How many people at that moment thought to themselves, Manny will never be back the same way? Yeah. And he's had a whole career since then because he's a freak of nature. You know, like I stand in awe of Manny Pacquiao. You know, just as an athlete and what he's been able to accomplish in the ring and for how long he's been able to take punishment and dish it out at the highest level. But at the same time, I'm in awe in a lot of ways of Mayweather's talent for different reasons.
And before we let you go, going back to Floyd for a second, what do you think we're going to see? Well, you might not watch it, but what do you think the world will see on Sunday evening?
I mean, I think they'll see Floyd mess around with him and let him fight a few rounds. I think Floyd's a showman and an entertainer, and I don't think Floyd wants to take people's money and then really make it clear what a farce it was by knocking the guy out in a round. So I think you'll see some action. I mean, look, I don't think Logan Paul is Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is a real athlete and a striker in his own right, though not one of the great boxers of all time, but a real combat sports athlete. Logan Paul's not, right? So, and Floyd did whatever he wanted with Conor, honestly. And he let Conor box with him. He had a sparring session until somewhere around the 8th round in their fight, the switch went on and he became Floyd Mayweather again. And then it was just a matter of when he wanted to end it, right? So I think Floyd will do whatever he wants, but I don't think it's going to be a 1 minute or 2 minute blowout. I think they'll exhibit a little bit. It'll be a little bit of an exhibition before Floyd gets rid of him or beats the hell out of him.
Brilliant. I think you've just sold it to me. I might actually watch it.
And one last thing before we get off, I just want to shout out to the Filipino Flash.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great fighter. What a great kid. And he's not a kid anymore. He's a friggin' like way seasoned veteran, probably a year or two away from, retiring and waiting for his first ballot induction into the Hall of Fame. But I've been watching the kid for years and years. I promoted a few of his fights, and one of the nicest guys in the business, great family guy, terrific role model, and what a fighter. Like, what a fighter. Just one of my favorites in the game, and the knockout the other night against, he fought another. A lot of people thought that was going to be a weight different kind of fight. And he just put an exclamation point on an incredible career, and power to Nonito Donaire, one of the all-time greats.
Great stuff, and a great point on which to end. Lou, really appreciate it, and we'll see you again next week.
Take it easy, Dan.
And you, take care.